Watch how they change overnight. Once you stop feeding them, their mask slips and things start making sense. They never wanted connection from you. They wanted access, attention, obedience, and that steady drip of energy they called closeness. That is why you felt drained. You were not loved. You were managed, milked, tested, and quietly disrespected. You explained, overgave, stayed patient, and still lost peace. Toxic people read kindness like an unlocked door, not virtue. So listen carefully. By the end, you will recognize their quiet retaliation and know exactly how to shut it down. Because they do not leave cleanly. When supply dries up, they probe, punish, bait, stalk, and disguise desperation. First weapon. Stop rewarding weird behavior with explanations and say, "I heard you." Then go still and let silence bite. That short line matters. It gives them nothing to twist, nothing to debate, and nothing warm to feed on. Most people think toxicity gets loud first. It usually gets quiet first, because quiet control leaves fewer fingerprints. And what happens next fools good people. The manipulator acts wounded, confused, even soft, while sizing up your weak spots. They start with distance. Not peace, not maturity, but punishment disguised as space, hoping your anxiety crawls back first. Silent treatment is not calm. It is a leash made of absence, pulled tight until you chase relief. Then comes fake normal. They send a casual message, a random meme, or some harmless question to test access. Do not mistake contact for care. Reentry is often reconnaissance, not love, and your answer should stay cold. Say, "My answer is the same." No smile, no essay, no softener, because repetition is where manipulators usually lose momentum. Notice the pattern. The second you stop serving them, they start studying you harder than when you were available. That is not attachment. That is control, losing oxygen, then panicking under pressure and calling the panic love. Another move is selective kindness. Suddenly they remember your favorite things, your stress, your struggles, your birthday, your dreams. Here's the part nobody tells you. Attention after distance is rarely repair. It is bait with perfume. They want to see whether gratitude makes you forget the disrespect. If it does, they know the door remains open. This is where your face matters. Keep it neutral. Keep your tone flat and let their performance hit concrete. Nonverbal weapon. Pause before responding. That pause tells them you are not hooked, rushed, scared, or available for easy steering. Toxic people hate delayed reactions. Your immediate defense used to prove they still controlled your nervous system. So when they jab, do less. Hold eye contact. Breathe once and say, "Interesting." Then watch who gets uncomfortable. Another move is information fishing. They ask innocent questions because details become ammunition later, especially after your boundary stays firm. A fake friend does this smiling. A toxic parent does it sounding concerned. A jealous coworker does it professionally. Your answer does not need decoration. Try, "I am handling it." Or say, "Nothing new to report." Short answers protect more than honest speeches. They cannot twist what you never handed over. And this gets darker at work. The toxic boss stops praising you, then studies whether neglect makes you perform harder. When you stop chasing approval, their face changes. You discover respect was never the salary, dependence was. That is why some people go cold. Sudden coldness after a boundary is punishment for lost leverage. Healthy people do not always like your limit. Toxic people treat your limit like betrayal because it blocks their access. That distinction saves years of confusion. Discomfort is human. Entitlement is the real red flag. Now watch the social game. When private control fails, some toxic people switch to image control and start rewriting you. They become strangely friendly with mutuals. They drop little comments, tiny doubts, careful omissions, and let gossip do surgery. That smear campaign is not strength. It is panic in formal clothes because private access no longer works. Your defense here is simple. Do not chase every rumor and do not audition for your own innocence. Say that is not true. Then stop. Truth gets weaker when dragged through 20 nervous explanations. Most people lose themselves right there. They start collecting screenshots, over-explaining motives, and bleeding energy into a dirty game. But the damage happens inside. You start doubting your read, your memory, tone, even your right to pull back. That is the hidden wound. Toxic people train you to question yourself, so you stop questioning them. Here is your reset. Confusion after a pattern is data, not weakness. Your body noticed before your mind admitted it. One of the most dangerous moves is sudden vulnerability. They confess pain only after losing benefits, not before. They cry when consequences arrive. They apologize when access closes. Timing exposes motive better than words ever will. That does not mean every apology is fake. Not every difficult person is toxic, and not every silence is punishment. Intent decides the difference. Silence can calm conflict, or it can starve you into surrender. Learn that fast. This nuance matters because strategy beats drama. A boundary is not control. It is clarity about what enters your life. Control tells others how to exist. A boundary tells them what happens if they cross your line. That is why toxic people rage. Your limit does not hurt them. It exposes how much they depended on overreach. And here comes the ugly test. They will often send one small disrespect, just enough to measure your spine. An interrupting comment at dinner. A late-night text demanding labor. A joke that lands exactly where you bruise. If you swallow that test, bigger ones follow. They are like a spider testing the web before moving closer. Your move is small and cold. Say that again. Or say, that does not work for me. Then stop talking. Let them hear themselves without your cushioning, and let the room register the shift. Quick question for you. When you finally pulled back, what quiet move did they use first against you? Drop it in the comments. Somebody reading your story still trapped in that pattern and needs the recognition. Name the move clearly. Silent treatment, guilt, fake concern, smear talk, random check-ins, or sudden sweetness. Your experience helps more than you think. Toxic patterns survive in silence, and clarity spreads fastest person to person. Now back to the darkest part. Some of them will punish you by thriving publicly right after discarding you. New photos, new charm, new energy. It is staged relief, meant to whisper that you were the problem. Do not buy that theater. A toxic person performs peace fastest when they need an audience, not healing. Here's where it gets dark. Their calm face can be a costume, while their messages to mutuals stay venomous. They want two wins at once: public innocence and private punishment. That split keeps you confused and them protected. This is why distance beats debate. Distance starves the performance, while debate keeps you center stage inside their script. Some viewers miss this and pay dearly. Forgiveness and reconciliation are not the same thing, and confusing them reopens traps. You can forgive privately and still stay gone. Peace does not require renewed access for the person who broke it. Another quiet tactic is guilt dressed as history. After you pull back, they suddenly remember everything they once did. They recite favors like invoices. That is not love speaking, it is debt collection for control. Use this line. I appreciate that, and my answer stands. Respectful, final, and impossible to drag sideways. They hate finality more than conflict. Conflict gives them movement. Finality gives them a locked door. So stop arguing your worth. Worth is not proved to manipulators. It is enforced through access, distance, and consequence. This matters in family too. A manipulative parent rarely says, I want control. They say, after everything I did. Same poison, nicer packaging. Guilt trips mean they lost easy access, so now they want your shame to reopen it. Do not wrestle with guilt on their stage. Say, I am not discussing this. Then leave the call or room. Leaving matters. Walking away mid-sentence tells them your nervous system no longer reports to their theater. One more quiet move appears after months. They return like nothing happened, because memory would force accountability. No apology, no ownership, just a soft hello. That is not peace, that is fishing for restored access. Your response can be brutal in 8 words. We are not reopening that. Hope you understand. They expect your old hunger to answer. They count on nostalgia, loneliness, politeness, or unfinished questions. That is when you remember this truth. Closure is not always something they give. It is something you enforce. Now watch what jealousy does. When you stop supplying attention, jealous people often become helpful spectators to your failure. They will not attack directly first. They will minimize wins, skip support, go cold, then study your reaction. A backhanded compliment tells on them. Nice result, considering you usually struggle. That sentence is envy wearing a smile. Do not educate envy. Say, noted, or say, you can think that, then give them nothing else. Short replies are powerful because they expose intent. Healthy people adjust. Toxic people escalate when your softness disappears. That escalation is valuable information. Anger after a boundary means control failed, not that your boundary was wrong. This is the crazy part. The more peaceful you become, the more obvious their chaos starts looking. Your calm becomes a mirror. They finally see themselves in your refusal and they hate the reflection. That is why they call you cold. You are not cold. You are no longer leaking access. And here is the second brutal truth. Many relationships only felt close because your boundaries were weak. That hurts, but it frees you. What depended on your self-abandonment was never stable enough to mourn forever. A real relationship can survive no. A toxic one treats no like treason and starts sharpening knives backstage. If this is landing hard, stay with it. The final shift is where your power stops leaking. Stop asking why they changed. Start asking what they lost when you changed. That question exposes everything faster. Usually they lost convenience. Free access, free labor, free admiration, free emotional cleanup, free excuses, free control. And that means their revenge is data. Every quiet jab after your boundary confirms the boundary was necessary. So build your life around patterns, not promises. Anyone can speak softly while planning a trap. Your peace needs standards, not hope. Hope without standards is a bear trap with sugar on top. Pick one place to practice today. Family group chat, office hallway, your ex, or that friend who only calls needy. Use one cold sentence and one pause, nothing extra. Let your restraint do the heavy work. Try, already answered that. Or say, not this time. Then wait and notice who instantly pushes harder. That push tells you everything. Respect accepts limits. Control argues with them, bargains with them, and punishes them. If someone punishes your peace, believe the pattern. Stop calling it love, loyalty, chemistry, or history. And if they return sweeter than ever, watch actions. Sweetness after consequences is often just strategy with lip gloss. You do not need to win scenes. You need to stop donating energy to people who feed on it. Try this after the first disrespect. Lower your voice, slow your pace, and say, "We are done here." And come back and tell people what happened. Your story helps others spot the quiet test sooner. If you want more weapons like this, subscribe and hit the bell. Stay close because calm power is learned. Let toxic people call it cold. What they hate is not your distance, it is their lost control. You are never hard to love. You are simply too available to people who confused access with ownership.